sparkling wit to yourself. Can't you see that we've got the makings of a scandal here that would make Watergate seem insignificant? A scandal? Yes. How would it look if the new president's cousin turned out to be a traitor? Isn't it bad enough that her brother sold out? She could be cut from the same cloth. David sighed. That's unlikely, Walt. It says here that she's written a book about Scandinavian meatballs. Good God, maybe she's spying for the Swedes. Stow it. Or the Danes. You gotta watch those Danes, crafty little devils, one and all. Goddard! She wrote fun with tacos, too, I see. David pressed on dryly. Do you think she's working for the Mexicans? Holy guacamole, Batman! Do you suppose they're planning to rush up here and take back Texas? Walt was leaning into the desk, his meaty hands braced against the edge, his cigar stub bobbing up and down in outrage. I'm glad you think this situation is funny, Goddard. But it just so happens that the next president of the United States doesn't agree with you. This little lady happens to have a bona fide card-carrying traitor for a brother. David flipped through the rest of the dossier, not so hastily this time. His headache was worse. Craig Llewellyn, he muttered. You remember him, don't you, Goddard? Walt jibed, going to stand at the barred window of his dingy little office. Remember? David remembered all right. How could he help it? Craig Llewellyn's defection had never made the national news by some miracle, but every federal agent in the country knew the sordid story. Being Llewellyn's sister doesn't make the lady a security risk, Walt, he pointed out quietly. Maybe not. If she wasn't related to our next president, I wouldn't be worried. If she hadn't just spent 2 months in Iran, I wouldn't be worried. As it is, I'm damned worried. You'd think the opposition would have caught on to this before the election, David speculated, thinking of the outgoing president and the no-holds-barred campaign he had conducted. They didn't, Walt broke in. I'll expect your first report early next week. Right. David stood up and stretched. Every muscle in his long frame ached with residual cold. Is this operation covert, by the way? Or do I just knock on Miss Llewellyn's door and flash my identification? Clearly Walt Zackman had a headache, too. That was a stupid question, Goddard. You've been on White House detail too damned long. Spent too much time walking the First Lady's dog. Of course it's covert. David shrugged, feeling weary. Maybe Walt was right. Maybe he was getting soft. Instead of thinking about this case on every level, a part of him was anticipating a day at Chris's place. The kids would be watching the Macy's parade on TV. The smell of roasting turkey would be everywhere. He reached for the dossier. Can I take this? Walt waved impatiently. Yeah, that's your copy. David tucked the file under one arm. He supposed it was the forthcoming holiday that was distracting him, stirring up bittersweet memories and half-formed hopes, making him feel far older than his 34 years. He tried to imagine Marlene, his ex-wife, roasting turkey or settling a band of freckle-faced rugrats in front of the tube to watch a Thanksgiving parade, and couldn't. You having dinner here, Walt? He asked, his hand on the doorknob. Tomorrow, I mean. Zackman grinned around his cigar stub. Nope. Going to New York to see my daughter. Happy Thanksgiving, Goddard. David laughed, though he had a bereft feeling inside. He thought of Marlene studying chimpanzees in Borneo, and wondered if she remembered that she'd once wanted to raise an entirely different kind of monkey. I'll call you on Monday. Right. David stepped out into the wide, familiar hallway, with its lighted paintings and expensively shabby carpeting.